Welcome back, everyone. Okay, so if you're the kind of person who just loves to cut straight through the noise and get to the actual facts, well, you're in the exact right place for today's explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to guide you through this because today we are completely debunking this massive viral panic surrounding the 2025 weather forecasts in India. So grab a seat, get focused, and let's unravel this whole shebang together.
Okay, let's dive into this. Devastation in 2025. Tsunamis, freezing cold, and massive floods. You have probably seen these exact sensationalized clickbait claims floating around your YouTube feeds and social media right now. Content creators are just tossing around words like rare, dangerous, and apocalyptic to describe what's supposedly coming for us. They're basically painting a picture straight out of a Hollywood disaster movie.
So, seeing all that, it is completely natural to ask, is La Niña actually going to devastate India? It's super easy to feel a little anxious when you're just constantly bombarded with these terrifying predictions. But today, we're stripping away all of that spicy, exaggerated hype. We're going to look strictly at the cold, hard, scientific reality of what's actually happening.
Section 1. The 2025 La Niña hype. Fact or fiction?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how this perfectly spiced up masala content causes so much unnecessary panic. I mean, people are literally claiming North India is going to be buried under freezing snow while South India gets wiped out by massive floods and tsunamis. They're calling it a once-in-a-century catastrophe. Sounds absolutely terrifying, right? But spoiler alert, it's incredibly exaggerated. To really get why, we kind of need to understand the basic mechanics of the ocean.
Section 2, El Niño versus La Niña. Let's call this our Chotu and Chitki science class.
So both El Niño and La Niña are really just Latin terms. El Niño literally translates to little boy. For our purposes and everyday daisy terms, let's just playfully call them Chotu. Guys, these aren't terrifying monsters. They're literally just basic natural weather patterns.
And on the flip side, we have La Niña. This translates to little girl, or, as we can playfully call her, Chutki. Chotu and Chutki are essentially the dynamic duo that control a massive portion of our global climate. So how exactly do this little boy and little girl impact the weather back home in India?
Well, let's establish our geographic baseline first. Picture the vast Pacific Ocean in your mind. On the East Pacific side, over near Peru, the water is generally cooler, right? And that creates an area of high pressure. Now on the opposite side, the West Pacific, which is closer to Asia and India, the surface water is a lot warmer. This warmer environment naturally creates a low-pressure zone. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens under completely normal conditions. Winds naturally want to blow from areas of high pressure over to low pressure, meaning they travel from east to west. As these winds move, they physically push that warm surface water right toward Asia. This localized heat increases the humidity, the pressure drops even further, and boom, you get the rain that forms our healthy, perfectly normal Indian monsoon. Notice, there's no La Niña or El Niño required for this normal cycle to happen.
But sometimes this normal mechanism gets disrupted. If those east to west winds weaken and fail to push that warm water and moisture towards us, well, India experiences a drought. That's our buddy Chotu, El Niño. But if those exact same winds go into absolute overdrive, becoming incredibly powerful and shoving an excess of moisture towards us, we get a heavier, more extreme monsoon season. That's Chutki, La Niña. It just means a heavier rain season. And that's it. Bat Khatam Paisa Hazam, not the apocalypse.
Moving on to Section 3, the reality of 2025. Let's look at the actual data. I really want you to look at this number, 22. According to the Indian Meteorological Department, the IMD, over the course of the last 123 years, El Niño has only occurred 22 times. And honestly, it gets even more specific than that. Out of those 22 events over more than a century, only 16 were actually impactful enough to alter the weather and cause a real drought in India. I'm bringing this up to really ground our expectations here. These major devastating impacts are actually incredibly infrequent. So the crucial point is this prediction from the APEC Climate Center. Yes, for sure, La Niña is coming. It's officially predicted to emerge between January and March of 2025. But guys, this simply means we might see a little bit more cold and a bit more rainfall than a totally average year. It's absolutely not the script of a disaster movie.
And hey, what about those terrifying claims regarding South Indian devastation?
Well, the truth is, floods and cyclones are a completely natural part of South Indian winters. When North India experiences extreme cold, it creates a massive high-pressure system up there, which naturally pushes intense weather activities, like cyclones and heavy rains, straight down toward the south. It's literally just basic geography. This happens all the time, and it has almost nothing to do with some exclusive La Niña apocalypse.
Look, if you really want proof, just check out this timeline of the absolute most recent La Niña event. It's stretched from 2020 all the way to 2023. Now ask yourself, do you remember some catastrophic nation-destroying weather event happening during those years? No way. We saw 2020, standard weather. 2021, standard weather. 2022 and 23, standard weather. Sure, we had some floods, some dry spells, a few cold snaps, but that's exactly the same standard weather variations we deal with every single decade.
So, the reality check is firmly this. 2025 is going to be just another normal year for our climate. Sure, there will be regional tragedies, as there always are, unfortunately, but there is absolutely nothing coming that requires us to panic in advance.
Section 4. The real environmental threat.
Now, before we wrap up this explainer, I want to take a really sharp pivot here. Because if you truly want a disaster to panic about, we definitely don't need to look at the oceans. We need to look in the mirror. Just consider the immense amount of water humanity wastes on mundane, everyday items. We're talking 2,700 liters of water wasted just to produce a single cotton t-shirt, 8,000 liters for one pair of leather shoes, and a staggering 11,000 liters of water entirely wasted to make one single pair of jeans. It's kind of deeply ironic, isn't it? We're out here panicking over natural required rain cycles while we deliberately waste precious resources like this every single day.
Let's move to and see how this builds into the broader picture of our actions. We haven't stopped our rampant plastic pollution. We haven't curbed unstopped industrial pollution. We casually roll out infrastructure like 5G towers, fully knowing the radiation impacts nature. And yet, humanity takes basically zero real steps to actually save the environment. We are inflicting deliberate daily damage to the planet without even a second thought.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought for today. If we aren't lifting a finger to stop our own destruction of the planet, why on earth are we losing sleep over a natural, totally necessary weather cycle like La Niña? The real threat in 2025 isn't the climate, it's us. Let that sink in for a bit. Maybe reconsider some of your own habits, and most importantly, please stop falling for the viral hype. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious, stay logical, and I'll see you next time.